and welcome to this edition of the Evening News for today, Saturday, January 22nd, 2022. I am Timothy Jaikaran. Thank you for tuning in. In the headlines, Budget 2022 to be partly financed by our money, says Vice President JAGDEO. Guyanese icon Dr. YESU PERSAUD laid to rest. Hundreds turn out for government's home improvement program outreaches on the east coast of Demerara. Government targeting robust housing plan with 15,000 house lots to be distributed in 2022. Motorcyclists are most problematic road users in Georgetown, and one arrested after CANU intercepts boat with 60 pounds of GANJA in BERBICE. Now for the news in detail. We begin tonight's newscast by telling you that with the government slated to present its third national budget on Wednesday, it has been revealed that some of the capital projects that would be outlined would be partly financed by Guyana's earnings from the oil and gas sector. PERSAUD has a lead story tonight.
This was revealed by Vice President Dr. JAGDEO during an interview with the state media on the 2022 budget framework. JAGDEO explained that by tapping into the oil monies, it will reduce Guyana's reliance on borrowing both externally and internally.
So the fiscal deficit this year in this budget will be lower than the fiscal deficit in last year, 2021, right? Because from a financing perspective, that means we'd have to borrow less because some of the oil and gas revenue will go to replace the high level of borrowing that we've had. So whilst the deficit in itself, because we're spending more now, so the deficit may widen because the capital projects, the big capital projects are coming on stream now. But the financing of the deficit will be, the financing needs will be reduced now. So we don't have to borrow as much to finance the deficit because we're using some of the oil and gas resources.
According to JAGDEO, a significant portion of the country's borrowing, especially under the previous APNU AFC administration, was from the domestic market, that is $90 billion annually. But with less borrowing now, these local funds that will be available can be tapped into by the private sector.
It now leaves more funds in the domestic market available for private sector lending. So there's no upward pressure on the interest rates there. In fact, the banks have to be a bit more aggressive to seek out people to lend to because they don't have this easy way of lending to the government. That's simply because we've decided not to use part of the oil and gas proceeds to finance the deficit.
This will be Guyana's first withdrawal from the Natural Resource Fund since the country started collecting revenues from oil production in early 2020. Currently, some US $607 million is being held in the fund at the Federal Reserve Bank in New York. Only last month, government passed updated NRF legislations that outlines the process for the government to make withdrawals from the fund, chief among which is parliamentary for approval for all withdrawals. The first schedule of the Natural Resource Fund Acts allow an exception in the first year, giving governments the latitude to withdraw the total balance in the fund all at once but poses restrictions for future withdrawals. The PPPC government has contended that withdrawals from the NRF is pertinent to addressing Guyana's pressing development needs. In fact, VP JAGDEO reassured that the monies will be used for infrastructure enhancement and increasing the country's energy capacity while cutting the costs. For the evening news, I'm PERSAUD.
Guyanese business tycoon Dr. YESU PERSAUD was laid to rest early today. The business giant and philanthropist died on Monday at age 93. Scores of persons, including President Dr. Irfan Ali, attended his funeral service that was held at his Nandi Park, East Bank, Demerara residence. Human Services and Social Security Minister Dr. Vindhya Persad, India's High Commissioner to Guyana Dr. K.J. Srinivasa, and representatives from the private sector including Dr. Persaud's successor at the DDL Group, Komal Samaru. In brief remarks, President Ali hailed Dr. Persaud for his many contributions towards the improvement of Guyana, stating that his family and the entire Guyanese community have lost an extraordinary soul who lived an extraordinary life. Let's have a look.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hundreds of persons along the east coast of Demerara turned up at 3 outreaches held by the Ministry of Housing's Central Housing and Planning Authority to spread awareness about the government's adequate housing and urban accessibility programs. Gerald Bryan was there and filed this report.
The Adequate Housing Program includes a core home support and a home improvement subsidy component. Eligible persons can benefit from $5 million to build a core home and $500,000 in building materials for their home improvement subsidy. The Central Housing and Planning Authority set up shop at the Monrepo and Lusignan markets and the Good Hope Secondary School on the east coast of Demerara on Saturday. In an interview with this newscast at Monrepo, Housing Minister Colin Crowe revealed that the event has already attracted hundreds of residents.
We're coming to the communities to allow persons who are here to be able to come, have their information, to seek information if they would like, to know the program, how they can benefit. If they can come today and also bring their documentation and simply have the interview conducted. So the staff will go through that screening process to examine if they can be eligible. We have, right now, there are 50 houses, core houses that are being constructed. As early as the new week, we'll be handing over a few in the Parfait Harmony cluster. Now, the houses are being constructed right now, 25 for Sophia, and 25, as I said, over the Parfait, Regdorsey, Luster, Ross cluster area.
The minister listed the various income brackets that are eligible for the Inter-American Development Bank IDB-funded project.
Now, the project, it caters for a particular segment of our population. So, in our program in the ministry, persons are familiar in terms of what they hear all the time is about house lots allocation. And sometimes persons think that is all we do. But then what we're looking to do is also move it further. So with the house lots allocation, we'll also see program that has implementation of construction of houses. So if you're speaking about construction of houses, then we have to deal with the type of houses and the beneficiaries. So the houses that you see so far that are being constructed, for example, that have been featured recently and frequently, you have, for example, young professional houses. So that caters for a particular bracket, the high income bracket. Then you also have the moderate income houses, so they'll go for between middle and moderate. So those, for example, you've seen so far, those 2 bedrooms elevated. You also have now these are core houses, and as I said, constructed to the tune of $5 million, that caters for persons within the low income bracket, the vulnerable. And so the beneficiaries or the potential persons who will pre-qualify they must first of all own the land to be able to benefit. For the subsidies program and for the core house, your income bracket must be $75,000 and less.
Kroll further explained that the scope of the project, which previously catered for up to LBI, has now been extended.
There's a boundary line on which the project is being implemented. So, for example, we are here on the East Coast. Originally, the project was approved for up to LBI. One of the first things we did when we came into office was sought extension on the boundary lines. So we've got the approval for that. So it's now being implemented in about 18 other communities that goes all the way to Haslington here on the East Coast. Then originally it was up to Diamond. What we got approval for the NDC boundary to be recognized, so that will be Grove, Diamond on the East Bank. And then where you have over the river on the West Bank, within that whole cluster with Parfait, Regdosi and the others, Luster Ross, that cluster. So that is the boundary of the implementation. So the participants, the beneficiaries have to come within that boundary.
Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
Here is Gerald Bryan once more, telling us that this time that the government of Guyana is aiming to accelerate its already robust housing plan, which includes the distribution of 15,000 house lots for this year. Here are the details.
During an interview with his newscast on the sidelines of an outreach hosted by his ministry, Housing Minister Colin Kroll touched on Budget 2022. According to him, 2022 includes plans for the distribution of 15,000 house lots, as well as the continuation of the home improvement and subsidy program.
We also had to relook in terms of examining our commitment that we've made to the people of Guyana, and that is 50,000 allocations to be done. And we also commit in terms of addition to the allocation to be able to construct houses. So you give persons the option to be able, once they can pre-qualify the bank, to be able to benefit from the housing program. So we took stock of that in 2020. So our initial budget for 2020 the emergency budget focused on access roads and bridges to commence. Even allocation exercises that were done before, and no infrastructure work was done. Then in 2021, we have a number of allocations that were done. Since we're in office to date, or let's use December 31st timeline, in 16 months in office, we've allocated 10,000 house lots. This year, you will find we'll allocate more than that. We are allocating at least 15,000 this year.
He also noted that this budget will cater for persons who have been calling to inquire when they can access their land, since millions of dollars in infrastructure work will be rolled out.
For those persons that we have the infrastructure work that is ongoing that started last year, we have already started to show those persons their areas. For example, Annandale in BERBICE since number 75, 76, number 79, at Great Diamond, we have started that. And so as the blocks become available, we call those persons in, we go to them to the site, show them where their lot is to ensure that they have their boundaries correct, etc. We have already started to do that. So persons who have been allocated prior to December 2020 are now able to start benefiting from accessing their land and knowing where their land is. The infrastructure work that you will see this year will be for all those allocations that were done last year.
Budget 2022, which will be the third budget under the PPP government, is due to be read on January the 26th. It is expected that this budget will be the largest budget of all and will continue development programs and projects both continuing and new. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
We now tell you that United States oil giant ExxonMobil is continuing its exploration activities in the Stabroek Block offshore Guyana, having spudded the Patwa 1 well on Friday. More in this report.
This was announced by the Maritime Administration Department in a notice to mariners. MARAD indicated that ExxonMobil's local affiliate ESSO Exploration and Production Guyana Limited will continue exploration drilling operations at the Patwa 1 well site up until March 15, 2022. The well is being spudded with Noble Corporation's drill ship Noble Sam Croft. To this end, MARAD has informed mariners to stay clear of the vessels being used for this exercise and navigate with extreme caution whenever in the vicinity. The Patwa 1 well is situated approximately 113.4 nautical miles from the coast of Guyana and covers an area of 0.29 square nautical miles. Only earlier this month, Exxon announced 2 new oil discoveries in the oil-rich Stabroek Block, which has more than 10 billion barrels of recoverable resource estimated. These recent oil finds were in the Fangtooth 1 and Lau Lau 1 wells in the Stabroek Block, bringing its number of discoveries in the block to 27. ExxonMobil's Senior Vice President of Exploration and New Ventures, Mike Cousins, noted that the discovery not only increased Exxon resource estimates, but added to the company's understanding of as well as confidence in the block. Meanwhile, Exxon's country manager Alistair Rutledge said the oil company's success in Guyana's water was nothing short of extraordinary. He further reassured that as the company's oil finds increased, so too would opportunities for Guyanese to benefit.
Coming up on the other side of the break, motorcyclists are most problematic road users in Georgetown. Please stay tuned.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store, located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rijnveld.
MASI is by your side as we continue the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. In collaboration with OneCart, you can now get your groceries delivered or you can pick up curbside. Call, email, or WhatsApp your order to us. This service is available at both Providence and Turkine locations. Delivery and pickup between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The fee is based on location. Orders must be paid in cash and placed 24 hours in advance. Special conditions apply. Remember to always protect yourself and those around you by wearing your masks. Also, don't forget to wash your hands and maintain a distance of 6 feet at all times around persons. MASI Stores. Our family serving your family.
Welcome back. You're watching the evening news. Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit agents on Friday intercepted a speedboat with a large quantity of cannabis on board. The discovery was made at the 8 Mile Junction in the Kanji River, East BERBICE. It has been reported that CANU officers were conducting a narcotics operation at the 8 Mile Junction when they intercepted the speedboat. Upon inspection, the quantity of suspected cannabis was found. One person was apprehended and escorted to the CANU headquarters with the speedboat and the suspected narcotic, which was tested and determined to be cannabis weighing 60 pounds. The investigation is still ongoing. CANU has said these operations are part of its effort to reduce narcotics traffic in the district. With the heightened circulation of the Omicron COVID-19 variant, assessments will be done in the future to determine the prevalence and impact of long COVID on patients after recovery. Rupasino Rang tells us more.
When the coronavirus disease persists for a couple of weeks, it is considered long COVID. If hospitalization is beyond 4 weeks, the Health Ministry also deems it a long COVID case. With the highly transmissible Omicron variant, the hospitalization interval is reduced, but Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony outlined that the long-term condition of these patients is yet to be determined.
It's too early to know because Omicron was only discovered in November last year. And persons with long COVID, you probably have to, there are two phases if you want in long COVID. So people between, say, 4 weeks to 3 months, and then between 3 months to 6 months. So we still have to observe to understand if people are coming back with symptoms of long COVID, especially after being infected with the Omicron variant. But we know that long COVID exists.
Dr. Anthony identified that depending on the variant in question, significant changes are notable in infected patients. In previous cases, some people were infected with lung complications. Others experienced heart issues. There were instances where patients later developed severe chest pains that mimicked myocardial infarctions or heart attacks. Some reported neuropsychiatric symptoms where fatigue, muscle aches, and headaches were also seen.
We also saw that persons had changes in their blood, and in some cases, if you've had COVID in the past, you can end up with changes in clotting of the blood, resulting in what is called emboli, and that can lead to other types of complications.
Anxiety, depression, and sleep disruptions have also been seen after recovery. Post-infection, kidney injuries are also among the assortment of complications. Among the slew of post-infection effects also include demineralization of the bones. In terms of the skin and hair, cases of hair loss have been reported as a post-COVID syndrome. In children, the minister said multi-inflammatory system diseases can also occur. With Omicron, the post-infection presentation is different.
Persons who never had diabetes, post-COVID, some of them can exhibit the symptoms of diabetes. Others who have had diabetes, post-COVID, they can have some challenges controlling their blood sugar. And we have also seen patients with thyroiditis, that is a disease of the thyroid gland, and therefore, again, post-COVID, these patients can have problems. With Omicron, because the presentation is different, we have seen that more people who are infected with Omicron would have more of an upper respiratory tract type of infection, meaning your nose, your mouth, your throat. Nose, you can have nasal congestion, runny nose. In the throat, you can have sore throat, have some fever, headache. So that's the kind of presentation now that we're seeing with Omicron.
Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Divisional Traffic Officer of Division 4A Georgetown, Deputy Superintendent Timothy Williams, has recently disclosed during a social media program, Traffic and You, that the most problematic category of road users in his division are motorcyclists. Amar PERSAUD has the details.
Divisional Traffic Officer of Division 4A, Deputy Superintendent Timothy Williams, explained that in 2020 they recorded 27 fatal accidents leading to 27 deaths, while in 2021 they recorded 25 fatal accidents which resulted in 26 deaths. Mentioning a minor decrease in fatal accidents in his division, the traffic officer said that 9 of the fatalities were motorcyclists.
The category of road users that is giving us the most problem presently are the motorcyclists. Because when I looked at my figure, for this year, 2021, from the 26 persons that were killed, 9 were motorcyclists, followed by pedestrians. And that in itself tells us we need to work more on these motorcyclists.
Williams noted that a number of motorcyclists are not wearing the required helmet, while some aren't wearing any helmets at all.
During last year, we received a number of safety helmets from the Ministry of Home Affairs. And I was out there with my ranks. We went out and we issued these helmets. And we advised the motorcyclists to utilize or wear the helmets. But we're still noticing a number of persons using their motorcycles or driving or riding their cycles or the helmet's not properly affixed, there's no strap at the bottom. Some are using what we call industrial helmets. That is not the required helmet for the motorcycles on the road. You cannot use that what we call industrial helmets on the public road. We have persons towing young children. A father or a mother might be towing his or her child, and that child is not wearing a safety helmet. That was a concern for us.
The traffic officer also warned persons who are performing stunts on the roadways, noting that they can be prosecuted as it is considered a form of dangerous driving. Meanwhile, the traffic officer highlighted that electric bikes have become a major concern to the police.
That is a source of concern, those electric bikes. Presently, they're operating on check. I would rather suspect simply because there's no documentation. Because these bikes are not registered by GRA, so they're operating on check. And we can't continue. I don't know how long a situation like that will continue, because we don't want these electric bikes to get involved in accidents, and because the rider is not permitted or is not authorized by some document, we cannot prosecute him. So it means therefore somewhere along the line, something will definitely have to happen so that they will have to be licensed or something like that. Because I'm noticing a number of them, they're even towing on them. Small children towing big people. They don't have helmets. And it seems as though the law don't apply to them, but they cannot continue operating on check.
For the evening news, I'm PERSAUD.
Another Guyanese has lived for 100 years. This latest centenarian is a woman from East BERBICE quarantine region who can still move around unassisted. Our BERBICE correspondent Andrew Carmichael spoke with the woman and her family. Let's have a look.
Rukmin Maidi, also called Ma, of number 54 village, quarantine BERBICE, turned 100 on Thursday. Ma, who has seen her fifth generation, was born at Canal number 2 West Bank, Demerara, but moved to the quarantine where she met and married Llewellyn Thompson. The couple had 2 children and lived until Thompson met his demise. Maidi's only daughter has since passed away, and she is now living with her son, George Thompson. The 72-year-old Thompson spends most of his time in the rice cultivation area, and his daughter, 46-year-old Susan Thompson, actively takes care of the new centenarian.
I just take care of her, give her she 3 meals plus she little snacks and so, you know, but she doesn't eat much. She's just eat a little. Yes, so we just see and get her everything that she needs.
The centenarian, while expressing gratitude, believes that she is still around because of the food that she ate when she was younger. She says she still tries to
food long ago. I cook, I eat fish and chicken, beef and pork all night. And cook well and sweeter with good taste. Yes, we turn old now. I can't do nothing for myself. I done nothing.
What food you like for eat now? What kind
at present, one of my cooking, if I boiled that and rice, I eat. If I boiled chicken curry and rice, I eat. If then I cook nothing, give it to me, do it out.
She not take too much of food, you know, but like roti and pumpkin and kind of balanji choke and stuff. And then she eat good.
In her younger days, Maidi farmed for both family use and to earn an income. She also fished while maintaining her responsibilities as a wife and mother. Her son refers to his mother as being in good health with only a slight loss of memory. To observe the milestone, family members gathered for a small and simple but significant celebration. Ma has 14 grandchildren, 36 great-grands, 35 great-great-grands, and 1 great-great-great-grand. For the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
We will now take a look at the bridge reports.
So Damawara Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed to vehicular traffic on Sunday, January 23, 2022 at 9 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the BERBICE River Bridge is expected to be closed at 7 hours 40 on Sunday, January 23, 2022 for a period of 1.5 hours.
Skerrit to make special appearance at BCB's annual awards ceremony. This and more coming up in the Sportscast, sponsored by Maccorp.
Moving, lifting, or bending, whatever the job, we at Sylvie's Variety Store have the right tools to make it happen. Pallet jacks and hand trucks for bonds and industrial sites, easy pickup and convenient maneuvers. Chain hoist from Roughneck and Northern Industrial, the perfect solution to lifting heavy objects. And then there's the 12-ton and 16-ton hydraulic pipe benders from 1/2 to 2 inch. We also stock the shop press machine from Northern Industrial. Sylvie's Variety Store stocks the tools to make it happen.
Ultra Lubricants, the leading lubricants for tropical conditions, has been serving you for over 40 years, extending the life cycle of your vehicle's engine by protecting it from wear and corrosion, removes impurities, and reducing frequent vehicle oil changes. Ultra Lubricants is for every market, from two-wheel light vehicle to trucks, construction, agriculture equipment, mining activities, and boating. Ultra Lubricants, world-class lubricants for tropical conditions, distributed by Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc., and available nationwide.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. We now shift our attention to some sports news.
When you're looking for superior aftermarket parts, where do you get the reliability and convenience to reduce downtime? The answer is Yellowmark, repair and replacement parts from Caterpillar, that is available only at MacCorp. Yellowmark was developed by Caterpillar, unlike cheap off-the-shelf aftermarket parts. At MacCorp, we will offer you helpful advice on identifying, finding, and installing the right Yellowmark part for your operation.
Yellowmark, for reliability and convenience at a lower cost.
Available at MacCorp. Let's do the work.